Hello and welcome everybody. It's Tracy Di Bartolo, Thermomix consultant here. I just want to tell you that here in Adelaide at the moment it's 11 sleeps until Christmas. So I've been trying to think to myself, what are some things that I can start making now so that I feel a little bit more prepared come Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. One thing that I have never attempted to make is mince pies, mainly because it's not really something that I particularly like to eat. I've tried a few of the commercial varieties and I've been a bit ho-hum about it, but somebody made some from scratch and I had one and thought, now that they are really nice. It's amazing how much difference there is from a store-bought one to a homemade one. So that got me thinking. I had a look at a few of the collections that we've got here on Cookie Doo in Australia, and there's a relatively new one called Sweet Christmas. Now in that little collection, I decided to do a batch of the Classic Christmas Fruit Mince, which is a very, very simple fruit mince. And I did that a few days ago, and so I've got a jar of it here waiting, ready to use. And I can go through the mince mixture. It's quite simple. I can do that a bit later. And now I'm going to do the pastry bases for the mince pies and also the topping. So these are mince pies with a little bit of a twist. They have a different topping on them, so it's not just an open mince pie or one just with a flat pastry topping. So it's called a Viennese whirl. All right, so I'll just wait for my Thermomix to warm up. It turned itself off on me. As you know, the Thermomix is after 15 minutes. If they've been sitting in idle and you haven't used it, it just turns itself off as a matter of power saving mode. And then it will just come back, and if you're in the middle of a recipe, it will just simply ask you, do you want to resume the recipe? So that's a pretty cool feature. All right, so on the TM6, I'm going to go in through the menu and I'm going to have a look at my recently cooked, because I have done a half a batch of these already, and open that up. And so, as I said, it's asking me now, do I want to resume or do I want to restart? So I'm going to restart the recipe from scratch. What I'll do is show you how easy it is just to make the pastry, and we'll just quickly get on with that. So the first ingredient is an unusual one, I think, for pastry. It's just some peelings off of an orange. So just get a really good peeler, one that you know is nice and sharp. Peel your orange, making sure that there's none of the white pith on it, and then just drop that into the bowl. And next thing is we're going to put in 50 grams of sugar. I usually put a little bit less because with everything, with the Thermomix, you're still in control. You know, you can put more, you can put less, so long as you don't do it out of balance too much. All right, lid is on, and just for 15 seconds, we're going to mill those two things together. Great. I always find it funny when I'm doing a live, 15 seconds feels like forever, but of course when I'm in my kitchen running around doing 100 things at once, 15 seconds is not long at all. All right, I shall show you the result of that. So that is just white sugar, a little bit of the orange rind, and I will quickly scrape down the sides. Smells divine, of course. If you ever do recipes that have got lemon or orange peel and then you mill your sugar, it always just smells so fantastic. Okay, so that is that. Next cab off the rank is we are going to put in 120 of unsalted butter. So obviously the next thing that our Thermomix is going to do for us is it's going to cream our butter and sugar. I can remember growing up and my mum teaching me how to cream butter and sugar, and it used to take forever to do it by hand. All right, we're also going to put in 240 of plain flour straight into the bowl there as well. And I've made a very big mess, so want to show you this. I'm not sure if you've ever seen this before. It's called a double header sweeper brush, available from the mix shop. So when you make a mess like I just did then, you can quickly and easily just get it all off of your screen without damaging. And also really importantly is making sure that nothing gets behind your little dial here, your selector dial, because if you get grains of whatever, flour or rice or something, that can actually stop you from being able to use the selector key properly. So this little, just a tiny little expense, and it is such a worthwhile item. All right, flour is in, egg is next. Easy, lid on. And we're going to mix this for 20 seconds on speed 4 while I clean up. Okay, scrape down the side of the bowl. This is pastry, so easy. So there you go, it's just brought everything together. It's creamed your butter, your sugar, your flour is all in there, all in one quick 20 seconds. Too easy for words. All right, lid back on. Then we are going to, for 30 seconds, put it automatically into knead mode. And I'm still making this. So an important thing when your Thermomix is kneading is to make sure that you don't move too far away from it. As you can see, I've got my Thermomix on one of the slider boards, okay, so that makes it very easy to move around, doesn't damage the scales because it's securely sitting on there, and as soon as you lift it up, you can move it around, even when it's cooking, when it's kneading. Just make sure I can get it back so you can see it, and that's it. That's all there is to it. Our kneading has finished. All right, so next thing, I'll move this back a bit. That out. So there is your pastry, all beautiful and ready to tip out onto your Thermomat. These are wonderful, the Thermomats. If you don't have one, ask your consultant, or if that's me, ask me about how you can get your hands on one as a host reward. They're also available to purchase in the mix shop, but if you can get one for very, very little, or maybe even for nothing, then that is a worthwhile thing knowing. Okay, so I am just going to put that into a bit of a ball and then press it down so that it's into sort of like a disc, the shape of a small bread and butter plate, for instance. And you can see how that has just really quickly and easily come out of there. Now, if I was just doing this normally in my kitchen without you guys watching, I would actually wash that in between. And to do that, all I do is I press the little home key, and you can see, hopefully, that has put it back into the normal home screen. So your time, temperature and speed, that screen. And then I would put my 1 litre of water in there, tiny little bit of dishwashing detergent, simply flick it to the side. That exposes all my modes, and I would choose pre-clean, and the pre-clean option I would choose is dough, because usually when there's flour and liquid, if you use one of the other options, the water gets a bit too hot. This mode is just absolutely perfect, and you'll find your bowl comes out clean as anything. And then once it's finished cleaning, you just dry it off, pop it back in, and the little green bookmark that's on your screen, just click that and it will take you straight back to where you were cooking. So no interruptions. That's what I love about it. You can jump in, jump out, and everything is still there waiting for you. Okay, so what we need to do now is we need to just wrap this up, and then the instructions tell us to place it in the fridge for about an hour, because you want to get it nice and cold. So So I'm going to do that with this one. Right, so that's in the fridge. And then I'm going to bring my prepared earlier. So this is the second half of my batch that I made earlier today. Hopefully you can see that. If I get that out of the way, there you go. All right, so what we've got here is I've rolled this out like the instructions tell me to, and then with a 7cm cutter, I've cut out 12 of these little discs of the pastry. Now, my husband is a very handy man, and he always tells me that the golden rule with anything is to have the right tools. That you can do anything manually, but if you've got the right tools for the job, it just makes the job turn out much better and also makes your life a little bit easier. And so that's how I equate it with the Thermomix. Yes, I can do lots and lots of different things by hand, but I just find using my Thermomix makes the result much better because I'm not particularly good at it, and also quicker, yeah, and I'm much more satisfied with the results. So, two things I want to show you that are both from the mix shop. I have been eyeing these off for ages, but wasn't really convinced that they would be something that I would use. When I decided that I was going to do these mince pies at the last sale, I thought, that's it, I'm going to buy them. So they are made from silicone, and they have a seal rim so that they're not floppy at all, and yet you can push up. Look at that, isn't that clever? You can push that up. So what I found was, after I cooked my first batch, once it had cooled a bit and I wanted to get them out, I just simply lifted them up and they just popped out. No trying to get them out, no sticking, nothing. So that's my first tip. If you can find yourself some of these little beauties, or hop onto the mix shop and look for the silicone but with the steel rims. They're fantastic. I'm in love with them. The second thing that makes your job easier, when I'm trying to put in the pastry casings into the muffin tray, I find that because I do have fingernails, that I'm always making little marks with my fingernails. This little wooden stick has got two sizes, one for the larger size, which we'll use today, and also one on the other end that fits the mini muffin pans. This is just sensational for popping. So putting that like so, just rest it on top, and then with this side, you simply just press down, give it a twirl, and that's it, it's in. You see how easy that was? Amazing, right? Whereas if I try and do it with my fingers, I get my fingernails all in it. Not sure if it will let me do it while it's... Yep, there we go. See? Easy as that. Get out, right? Okay, so I'm just going to do one more of these because you've got the idea now. Simple as that. I think it's called a puddler or something crazy like that. Not sure who comes up with these names. Muddler. Gosh, don't know. Doesn't matter. You'll know what they look like when you go onto the mix shop and find one. Okay, so put those aside. I'll come back and do those later. Come back to my mince. So the classic Christmas fruit mince is also in this same collection, Sweet Christmas collection. And I've got my little, I'll just reach over here because I'm just going to read out what the ingredients are. So basically, have a sterilised jar ready to go because that's what it's going to go in as soon as it's cooked, and it doesn't take long to cook at all. So you put in some dark brown sugar, and you put in the peel of a lemon and the peel of an orange. It says half, but honestly you can put in whatever amount you want. And then you just quickly mill that. So much as we did with this, you just mill the sugar with those lemon and orange peel. Next thing, you're going to pop in your unsalted butter. There's 100 grams of apples that you've peeled and cored. And then you're going to use the juice from those same that lemon and orange that you just used the zest. Just juice them and pop those in as well. So no wastage. I love that too. And then you just quickly chop that for 4 seconds. Easy so far. All right, next thing we're going to do is add all your fruit. So I put in currants, sultanas, raisins, and I also added a few cranberries, mainly because I didn't have quite enough weight of the others, so I just popped in a few cranberries. You can just mix it up to whatever your taste desire, or just whatever you've got on hand, which is usually my case. And then you put in a little bit of mixed spice, so it's only 2.5 teaspoons of mixed spice. And you heat that up for 5 minutes on 100 degrees, just on reverse and slow speed. So 5 minutes basically is all it's taking. And then when it's finished cooking, you stir through 60 grams of brandy. And I just buy a cheap cooking type brandy. So what I found, because again, it was the first time that I had made this, when I poured it off into the jars, using, of course, my jam funnel. I can never see which way is the right way. There you go, from the mix shop. It's about $12 or something like that. In there, pour it through, no mess, okay? You're all gonna get sick of hearing it because I tell everybody about it every single time, but honestly, it's the best thing ever. Okay, so what I thought to myself when I poured it off was how liquidy the mixture was, and I was a little bit worried that maybe I had made an error. However, I put my lid on, then once it's cooled, I put it in the fridge because I wasn't sure how long it would be until I made these. This is the result. So, grab a spoon, and you can see that the mixture is quite solid. Which way shall I do it? That way. There you go. Okay, so now we are just going to put in a couple of teaspoons into the pastry cases. So one batch of my fruit mince, I estimate, is going to make probably about close to 30, I suppose, of these fruit mince pies, give or take. But of course, because it's got the brandy in it, and I will keep it in the fridge, I'm sure that it will last quite a long time. All right, so I'm just going to do the 3 that I have got sitting here ready to go. Easy as that. Right, done. All right, so that's that bit done. In the recipe on the Thermomix, which I'll bring forward again, the next steps in here are to make the topping that's going to go on these. So I've made this already and it's ready to go, but I'll just walk you through it. The topping has got 125 grams of white sugar, which you mill. Next, you will add 250 of unsalted butter, and then just a couple of drops of some vanilla extract. And mixing that all together for 2 minutes. So again, we're going to be creaming the butter and the sugar, and for a couple of minutes, and it comes up. Just have a look at it when it's finished. It should be lovely and smooth and not grainy. If you feel like you'd like to do it again, then by all means just do it again. Okay, now we add 250 grams of plain flour, and then bring that all together for about 10 seconds. Scrape it down, and then another 10 seconds. So I've already done that process, and you'll notice on the TM6, at this stage, it actually plays you a little video of how to put this, let's call it icing or topping, into I'll show you one again I have prepared earlier. So this is into the piping bag, and I've already got my little star piping on the end. So the video even shows you how to get it in there with as least mess as possible. And then the next step is to preheat the oven, which I've already got going. Okay, so hoping you can see this. Okay, come back that way. Right, now this I'm really bad at. I will not lie, but it kind of doesn't really matter too much. You know, they're going to be rustic looking. Some people are wonderful, but the idea is you just squeeze it out, and you start at Now it's gone a bit hard because I have had it sitting here for too long. So what I might do is I'm just going to put this in the microwave for about 10 seconds just to soften it up. One moment. All right. And while that is doing that, so yes, that's my little tip, because I did that last time. I went to squeeze it out and the butter had started to harden a bit. So I just popped it in the microwave for 10 seconds or so. All right, this is the finished product. This is my first batch of 12 of the beautiful little casings. See how they've just popped out perfectly with the mince in there and then the swirls on top. All right, I hear my microwave, one moment. Okay. Let's give it a whirl. Starting on the outside, let's see, that's better. Start on the outside and work your way around. There we go. Just work it around and around and around. And as I said, some people are really good at this and I'm not so good at it, but that's okay. When it comes out of the piping, it looks very pretty. So start on the outside and then just come around and around and around into the middle. Up to you. It doesn't matter if there's a few little spots in there that you can see the fruit mince through it. I don't really think it matters. You might even want to do like a pattern across, like a latticey sort of pattern, which I'll do with this one. Totally up to you. Use your creativity if you like. There you go. All right, so I've done, let's see, tip it up. So I've done some that I've just gone round and round, and then I've done one on the end that's just like a crisscross latticey sort of pattern. And that's it, folks. Then you just pop it in the oven on 180 degrees for about 15 to 18 minutes, depending on your oven. And you will have the most beautiful little mince pies. In fact, I like the lattice thing. I might do the lattice on the other half. And the recipe says that it will last for about 2 weeks in an airtight container. So that's why I thought I'll make them now, because they'll be fine still for Christmas. And it's nice to get a little bit of a jump ahead. All right, so that's all from me today. My very first attempt at making fruit mince pies. Just goes to show you, you don't really have to know what you're doing. You just give it a try, and inevitably it seems to work out. But also having the right tools for the job, courtesy of my husband. Okay, so a good piping bag, the little muddler, puddler, whatever it is that you call it, the right little, so I'll just see whether I can show you. So even though these aren't even cooked, you see how they start to lift out as soon as you push them from the bottom? Just makes life so much easier when you're trying to get them out afterwards. Have a really good silicone mat for rolling out your pastry, and something to clean up your mess afterwards, because I make a lot of mess. Lovely. Merry Christmas to everybody. Give me a thumbs up or a love or whatever it is, or stars now. Apparently you can do stars. I'm not even sure how that works. And I hope to see you all another day watching me when I'm back in my kitchen. Bye for now.